Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khush aamdeed, ji aaya nu, goeiemorgen.
Bakhair agele, ni hao, junushumme, washwale, ohai, guzaimis, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shuma chutore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, bhalli kare aaya, and Pakistan Zindabad, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning into PTV World. You watching What This Morning on a very fine Thursday morning over here on the 27th of February 2020 with the very amazing Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Hello Shiza, how are you doing today?
I am absolutely great, but before we proceed, you are so absolutely energetic and ecstatic today.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I think that, ladies and gentlemen, today is a very important day, and I think that today is a day that everybody's going to, well, you know, we do it 365 days a year as well, but today is the day, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm very actually proud of Pakistan Air Force, and there's a reason behind it, which we're going to let you know, but in a little while.
Right.
What about you? Even you know what we're going to talk
Yeah,
about.
absolutely.
So I'm ecstatic. That's true. I'm full of energy today, and it's because of the fact that, ladies and gentlemen, let me put it straight away.
Yeah.
That I always wanted to be a GD pilot, and so yeah, obviously I wasn't very good with the books and the tests,
Aw.
so I couldn't pass it, and I landed myself into television. But yeah, I've always been very close to being a fighter pilot, and not just that. You know, when I was a kid, I actually used to dream as if I was flying, you know, with other pilots as well. And when I used to wake up, I used to wake up crying because of the fact that that wasn't reality and that it was a dream. So yeah, that's how close Air Force has been always to me.
All right, so since it is very close to you, I'm going to ask you, do you know anything about something called Operation Swift Retort?
Yes, I for sure. I think everybody knows it, and I think that India knows it better than us because they really had to pay the price of a cup of a tea in terms of a MiG-27, and I think, or MiG-21 probably. I think, ladies and gentlemen, we might not be very correct with the technicalities, but we love to own it. I think whatever the plane was, it costed quite a lot.
Shahzad, you were absolutely right. It was a MiG-21, but here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, for all of those who don't know, today is the first anniversary of, you know, us celebrating the bravery and valor of our Pakistan Air Forces, ladies and gentlemen. Exactly. And I tell you, this is not the first time they have shown their own true colors, you know, in terms of how valiant they are, how courageous they are. So for all of those who don't remember, not only from Pakistan, but from all around the globe as well, ladies and gentlemen, last year on the 27th of February and a day before that as well, on the 26th as well, some, well, let's say unwanted aircrafts from our neighboring country tried to violate the line of control, and tried to enter Pakistan with nefarious designs, which in less than 11 seconds were, you know, shot down and turned back to where they belonged. This is actually how brave, how vigilant our Air Force is, Shahzad. So in the night of the 26th of February, some planes did enter and returned. But on the 27th of February, as soon as two planes did enter, they were shot down immediately, as I mentioned, by two superheroes of Pakistan, which we do have to name over here, ladies and gentlemen, Wing Commander Noman Ali Khan and Squadron Leader Hassan Siddiqui.
Hats off to them.
And here's the thing, Shahzad, while one, you know, while it was shot down, it did fall into the premises of India itself. But one MiG-21 fell inside Azad Jammu and Kashmir, the Pakistan part, right?
Exactly.
And well, we have the major pieces of the aircraft in the Army Museum as well.
Yes.
And then we got hold, while we did kill one of the soldiers, we got hold actually one of the pilots too. And I feel like I'm giving a lot away already.
And I think that it was important for us to capture one. And ladies and gentlemen, this is where you get to know how well-trained our pilots are, or how well-managed our Air Force is, that within 11 seconds, they not just managed to shoot two of the planes, they realized that one of the plane won't be actually landing on our surface as well. So they made sure that they killed that pilot. And then they made sure that the one the pieces will be landing in our part of the land, they made sure that the pilot is actually going to live too as well. And not just that, I think that even from that person's mouth, and obviously we do have a lot of respect, other than, you know, other than everything, ladies and gentlemen, we are humans. But then at the same time, I think that I was so happy about the fact that our Air Force has treated that particular gentleman in a way where he himself said that, you know, I felt great to be over here, and, you know, people have looked after him very well as well. So it's not just war. I think that there's a little ethic to the war too as well. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, we definitely have a few images to share with you guys. So let's go. This is Hassan Siddiqui for you guys, ladies and gentlemen. Take a closer look.
झपटना पलट कर झपटना लहू गर्म रखने का है एक बहाना ये पूरा पूछी चुकोरों की दुनिया मेरा नील तू आसमां।
जब भी कोई दुश्मन मेरे मुल्क की सालमियत या कौम के वक़ार की तरफ देखेगा तो उसका वही हाल होगा जो उस दिन उन दो जहाज़ों के साथ हुआ।
On this day last year, Pakistan Air Force shot down 2 Indian jets and captured one of the pilots of a MiG-21 in retaliation a day after the Indian Air Force committed misadventure in Balakot area, violating Pakistan's airspace. However, Pakistan government released the Indian pilot wing commander Abhinandan as a goodwill gesture and to avoid any further escalation. After experiencing humiliation at the hands of Pakistan Air Force, the Indian authorities indulged in false propaganda and claimed that wing commander Abhinandan hit down F-16 aircraft before his MiG-21 Bisson was shot down by Pakistan Air Force jet fighter, but fell short of proving their claim.
So, ladies and gentlemen, to get in a little bit of more detail, I think that we have been joined by by a very amazing guest.
Yes,
you know,
our favorite.
I love him. I love him, and there's a reason why I love him. First of all, I would definitely want to age the way he is aged. He was a former F-16 pilot as well, and then he has pretty much done all of those things which I have wanted to do in life. So when I look up to him, I look up to a hero, and I think that this gentleman has done some marvelous things over the period of his career within the Air Force as well and outside the Air Force as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we are very lucky that once again we've actually been joined by former Director General Pakistan Civil Aviation Authority, Air Marshal Retired Yusuf Chaudhry Saab. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum salam. Thank you very much for inviting me.
And congratulations once again a year later.
Yes.
So, sir, let's get the conversation started. I would want to know each and every detail of the 27th of February 2019. What actually happened?
Yeah.
Yes, as you said before, it's a very important event which took place. If you recall, during our programs I have been coming before, India has been threatening to carry out surgical strikes before as well.
Right.
And every time I said, in case India tried, they are going to be embarrassed because Pakistan Air Force is better equipped. Pakistan Air Force is better trained, especially for this job. So if they do it, Pakistan Air Force is going to retaliate and they will be embarrassed.
Exactly.
That's what happened. Last time also they claimed one incident before this that they have conducted surgical strikes. Pakistan realized there was no target in Pakistan which was struck.
I think we're talking about Balakot, right?
Balakot incident. And even Indian political opposition, they said, if you're not showing any proof to Pakistan, show us that there was a strike conducted. They could not show that.
Exactly.
So it was an embarrassment to Indian Air Force even then.
Of course.
Second time, again they said we are going to do that. Pakistan Air Force or Prime Minister of Pakistan said, we are going to retaliate, you should not have any doubt in that. But our retaliation will be in accordance with the damage you caused, we are going to cause the same damage to you. So they tried their luck on 26th of February.
Okay.
When they conducted, I will divide the outcome of this operations in 4 parts. First is the intelligence available about the target. Second is outcome of the operation itself.
Right.
Third is handling of the media. And number 4 is political fallout of the episode. India has been, as I said before, claiming and saying again and again that we are going to strike inside Pakistan. That means they should have collected intelligence information well before about all the possible targets they wanted to strike, and that is but natural that you got to have full information about the target you strike. But in this case, you see, they probably miserably failed because the target which they struck, they claimed it was a training center of Jaish-e-Mohammed, and everybody knows, international media have said that since 2005, after the earthquake, and they have not seen anything of that kind here. People were taken there, shown there all the buildings around. There was one madrasa where kids were learning how to recite Quran Pak. There was nothing more than that. So that means their information about the target, which is basic thing to start an operation, was totally faulty.
Absolutely.
On the other hand, if you see the Pakistan Air Force, very precisely we knew what are their military targets in the area, and we had their imageries, we had all the information available.
Right.
That was their failure, first failure. Second, as far as operations is concerned, they used the best aircraft there they have with them. That was Mirai 2000-5. And the weapon system, that was the bomb which they used, that was Spice 2000, they recently got from Israel, which is supposed to be very accurate and very good missile.
Only if you get a chance to use it.
Yeah, and they failed both these weapon systems.
Embarrassing.
I'm quite sure that the manufacturer of these weapon systems must be embarrassed as well, because they always take pride when their system succeeds. They say, look, our system is so good. But in this case, they could not. Even the aircraft which have been shot down MiG-21, which fell this side of the LOC, that was upgraded by Israelis. And they said now it is a very potent aircraft and it can be compared with any other fighter aircraft. So even they must be embarrassed in that also, that it was not very potent aircraft, it fell in very first engagement.
Exactly.
So as far as output was concerned, now 1 year has passed. Everybody knows, international media has disclosed it time and again, that they could not strike the buildings, although they were not the terrorist camp, but they did select 3 buildings, but the bomb fell in the jungle, where they destroyed a couple of trees and 1 crow was killed.
Exactly.
But they were precious to us as well.
Yeah.
And especially for our Prime Minister, because he is trying to grow billions of trees, and he was very upset they have destroyed 4 trees.
Exactly. And we were, ladies and gentlemen,
genuinely upset.
But we made sure that you were more upset than however we felt. But then at the same time, sir, I'm sorry, but there are always a lot of stories, when such a thing happens, all of a sudden, people start making stories too as well. And I know that and I think that it's about time that Indian media needs to realize that you really need to learn from Pakistan in terms of everything. It's not just
authenticity,
the forces,
credibility.
or I think it's in terms of media too as well. So I'm sorry, but I don't know whether I should be saying it on television or not, but I will say it. So, sir, is it true that that very night, people from Pakistan Air Force knew where the Indian Army chief was?
This information did reach, because we were tracking.
And you kind of located, the Pakistan Air Force located the Indian Army chief and kind of let it go that, okay, we know where you are and we would have done this to you, but okay, for now, 2 planes will do.
As the instructions were from Prime Minister of Pakistan, that when we assessed the damage done by Indian Air Force, there was no human or material damage done. So instructions from the government were that we will retaliate to show our resolve that we are going to retaliate in case you try to be funny. But because we have not lost anything on ground, so we are not going to cause damage, because we are not interested in escalating the war. So just pick up the targets, to tell them that, okay, we know where you are, what are the targets, we can come there, because we locked those targets, and just short of dropping the bombs, we moved the aiming index few hundred yards away and dropped the bomb there, giving them the indication that in case we can drop it here, we could drop it there as well.
Absolutely.
And that's great.
Brilliant.
And Shahzad, this feeling of feeling very naked at that point of time, I think that's how
exposed.
Imagine that you actually know that the chief of Indian Army is there, you have located, you've targeted them, and then you've been like, okay, we will show a little bit of mercy to you, and it's perfectly all right. But not just that, sir. Now, talking about Wing Commander Aman Ali Khan, talking about Squadron Leader Hassan Siddiqui as well, talking about you have been a former F-16 pilot yourself. But where does that Jazba Imani comes from? Within 11 seconds, that adrenaline rush, that control to do something for your own country. And I still remember that one day you actually mentioned this story of yours where you were flying somewhere up, somewhere around the Murray Hills, and you were like that, at this point of night, I'm actually protecting people down there who are sleeping. And so where does this Jazba actually come from?
I think it's the environment, because you're a product of your environment. The moment you enter Pakistan Air Force, you're very lucky. Number one, you have the role models. The role models which are worth emulating. M.M. Alam, the legend, nobody can deny, even the enemy will accept that he was a legend. We have interacted with them, we have talked to them, we have flown with some of them. So that gives you all that which you need. Rafiq Shaheed and all that very long list of the people, there are role models. Then they have set the standards which Pakistan Air Force decided that we are not going to let those standards come down. So that's the standard that we want to achieve, and these 2 youngsters have proven that again, that our standards are far way ahead of the Indian standards.
Exactly,
Absolutely.
that's true.
And yeah, absolutely. And Shazad, speaking of that, just ladies and gentlemen, just to give you the right kind of goosebumps early in the morning, we have a video actually of Squadron Leader Hassan Siddiqui, calling out to his Allah and being a sort of channeling that courage that he has, that jazba that he has.
Right now.
Let's play that video for all of you, and let's remember our hero as he is, ladies and gentlemen, from the 27th of February last year.
Just feel it.
Pakistan Zindabad indeed. But Shazad, here's the thing, everyone knows how we did return their pilot, which they call as a war hero.
Which I think we shouldn't have. I personally think we shouldn't have. But I don't know. I think it's for the government and the forces to decide that as well.
Yes.
But I think it was a good omen that our Air Force actually, I don't know why, but I think that's the question for you,
We will get to that. But here's the thing, it was it was a goodwill gesture. We being, the peace bearers of this area, we always want subcontinent to be a peaceful place.
Yep.
Now, these are the steps that we are taking. And opposing this, India being the insecure piece that it is, it keeps on adding, S-400 missiles, Rafales, whatnot from Russia, America, even Israel you mentioned. Where do you think is that leading the situation of subcontinent towards?
I think it just shows the level of maturity Indian political leadership has versus the Pakistan political leadership has.
Right.
Pakistani Prime Minister has been saying it everywhere, including a platform of UNO, that we are two nuclear states and any conflict between the two countries is going to be bad for the entire world.
Right.
Exactly.
So we have to avoid war at all cost.
Okay.
So we have been trying that. Even in this event also we tried that. But on the other hand, just to gain political mileage in his own country, he has been leading the subcontinent to the disaster.
Exactly.
And it was Pakistan who avoided or tried to avoid this conflict, not the India. He wanted to escalate.
Exactly.
But Pakistan tried not to escalate because its consequences are going to be very dire for the entire world.
Exactly,
Right.
sir. And that's true. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that this is a time where we actually need to reflect upon the kind of decision our Prime Minister has made. And I think that everybody is going to be in love with him, and he was even nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. But not just that. Now, sir, what I want to ask is that for Modi, because the elections were on way as well, and there were people who actually said that it's just to reap some political benefit out of it.
Of course.
But not just that. How can a person who's leading a country with such massive population can risk their own national security with such stupid efforts?
I think you got to again find out his brought up, his education background, and that is the reality.
That's what they
because
say. He used to sell tea, probably. I think.
Yeah, but besides that, at the age of 8, he was introduced to RSS.
Okay.
So you can
Yes.
imagine that's the age. All the psychologists say that your personality is made what you're exposed to at that age. So at the age of 8, he was introduced to RSS. So that whatever their ideology is, that was engraved in his mind. Then he became, when he was grown up, he became formal member of RSS. And then in 1984, RSS realized that to promote its ideology, platform has to be political. So he
Right.
was inducted in BJP so that one day he can grow up in the party and propagate our whatever we want to do. So sure enough, he was elected Chief Minister of Gujarat. Their first play, the ideology he had played was that massacre of Muslims
Yes.
there.
Yes.
So that's the first thing.
Unfortunate.
After that, now it is abrogation of 370, followed by the Citizen Act. So it is all RSS. So it is their ideology which is engraved in his mind, and he doesn't care about the future of the subcontinent. He just wants to promote that ideology, and plus he wants to have political mileage. And in
Right.
case, and he did gain that. First he was the chief minister. After he had that episode of killing 1,000 Muslims,
Yes.
he became prime minister. Now this time he was not likely to be elected. His position was not very good. But after this episode, the propaganda which Indian television and print media carried out. They were howling, shouting about their achievements, which proved to be wrong later on.
Right, of course.
His voters were really, they felt very happy that our Prime Minister has done a wonderful job. So overnight, his rating went very high. And as a result of that, he won landslide victory, and he was the beneficiary of that episode.
It's insane, absolutely.
And now everything comes down to a point where within their own country, I think people have been chanting slogans of Pakistan as well while Trump was there. So I think everybody needs to calculate, and thank you very much for saying that. It definitely shows the kind of brought up you've had.
Absolutely. Now, here's the thing, Shahzad. Now, coming back to what you said, you feel that Pakistan Air Force shouldn't have returned their pilot.
Yeah.
So, when we had him for almost 2 days,
Everything
that's
is
right.
fair in love and war. No?
Yes, I was coming to that. Was it a war, first of all? So, when this thing happened, the Twitter, social media went crazy of bringing to light the Geneva Convention, saying that he's a war prisoner and he must be returned as mentioned under the convention. We, being the member states of the United Nations, should be following that. But here's the thing. When you talk about war, there are certain preconditions, and if, that certain situation falls under those conditions, that is when we call it a war. First of all, it has to be declared a war by two parties or either of the parties. Then there has to be a certain human damage or, infrastructural damage, public damage, whatnot. While most of these things were really unclear, so I don't want to say that we did it out of, him being a war prisoner, we returned him. We openly did it as a peace gesture because that is what we are. We are all about peace. My question is, sir, were it for India to have, God forbid, it's never going to happen because we are really that strong. Was it for India to have our pilot in their premises? Would we actually, first of all, declare that, okay, he's a war prisoner, and would they actually initiate the first peace step?
I don't think so. As you said, fortunately, that situation never arose in the past as well.
Yeah.
And looking at this gesture and the way they have been conducting their affairs, I'm very sure they would have treated our man much differently
brutally,
than
actually,
the way we have done it.
Exactly.
And it's not first time we've done it. We have done the same way in the past as well.
Please do shed some light on the past events too.
And before you do so, sir, let me tell everybody out there, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just that we don't love people who are actually Indians. It's everybody's a human. And fortunately or unfortunately, we were separated, and I think that it was in the best of our interest as well. Fortunately, obviously. But it's the governments and it's the forces, and I think that this is how it works as well. And every nation backs their forces and the government. So yeah, one way or the other, we are bound to do that. But sir, let me ask you, why do we have to show so much hospitality to a person who was actually coming towards us with a very nefarious design? Why?
I think it is our religion teaches us that, and the moralities which is taught to us as youngsters, that is the way. Because although it is said everything is okay in peace and love, and we say no, everything is not okay. There are certain ethics, there are certain principles which ought to be followed, whether it is war or whether it is peace. And as I said, we have done it in the past as well. They have been somehow underestimating Pakistan Air Force in the past, and overestimating Indian Air Force in the past as well. First episode which took place, that was in 1958. Very few people would remember that. They carried out photo reconnaissance inside Pakistan. That mission was based on 3 assumptions which proved to be wrong later on. First assumption was that Pakistan radars can pick up a target below 50,000 feet, and in case our aircraft can fly at 50,000 feet, it will not be detected by Pakistan radars. And second assumption was it was an Eid day. It was 10th of April 1958. They said Pakistanis would be busy in celebrating Eid, so they won't be very alert, so we can take a chance. They will not be able to react to our violation, air violation. And third was technical information that our aircraft can fly at 50,000 feet. Canberra was the airplane. Aircraft Pakistan Air Force has, none of them can climb to this altitude, so they will not be able to shoot Canberra even if they find out that it is there. Their assumptions went wrong. First, Pakistan Air Force had tilted the antenna of the radars in such a way that all the aircraft Indian at any altitude will fly will be picked up. So when this aeroplane violated the airspace of Pakistan, it was picked up immediately by the radar. Second assumption was also wrong, because 24 hours a day and 7 days a week we are alert.
Right.
There's air defense alert contingent of Pakistan Air Force which is on duty, and it will get airborne within 6 to 7 minutes in case any violation takes place. So we were alert, and 2 aircraft were scrambled, F-86s. One was flown by Flight Lieutenant Butt, and the other was by Flight Lieutenant Yunus, who retired later on as Air Vice Marshal. They scrambled, and they were vectored towards this target, which was flying over close to Pindi, and they were behind this aeroplane. But that technical information was right. They could not climb to 50,000 to shoot it. So around 50,000, they're just trying to hang around so that in case it comes down, we will be able to shoot down. That aircraft, because of some reason, put in a turn, maybe to see something or maybe to go some other direction. When you turn, generally you lose height. So it lost height, came down to 47,500. Flight Lieutenant Yunus just picked up the nose, put the gun sight there, and gave a burst. It hit the target. The aircraft was destroyed. Both the pilots and the navigator, it used to carry crew of 2 people. They ejected over Pakistan. They were treated the same way because it was Eid. They landed close to a village. They told the people, "You are Pakistani pilots,"
Did we give them
because
mithai?
they know they will be beaten up. So they were picked up. They were given savaiya and tea and everything. They enjoyed the sweets. And meanwhile, Pakistan Air Force people who were searching for them, they reached there. So then they arrested them and they were taken back. Again, after some time, they were returned as the present pilot.
And the legacy continues as well.
They did the same in 1965, before the war. If you recall, there were skirmishes between Pakistan Army and Pakistan Indian Army in the run of Kutch. So Pakistan Air Force was given the responsibility to have point defense, put the aircraft so the Indian Air Force does not intervene in our progress. So they sent an aeroplane, intruded into Pakistan. F-104 was the starfighter then. It was sent to intercept the aeroplane. When he intercepted, it was about to fire, then something very unusual happened. That aeroplane, Indian airplane, lowered its landing gear, we call it landing gear, wheels came down. This is an indication to the other party that please don't shoot me, I am ready to surrender. So the pilot did not shoot him. That aircraft landed in the field close to Rajshahi village, and the aircraft was damaged extensively, but the pilot was arrested. That pilot was again treated the same way as we treated now. And on the 14th of August, as a goodwill gesture, because it was our Independence Day, that pilot was also returned. So this was the 3rd time during peacetime, although during wartime, 1965 war, another NAT landed inside Pasur because it saw again F-104 about to shoot, they decided to land inside Pakistan. But that was during the war. So this is the 3rd time we arrested their pilot. And even during Kargil crisis, we shot down one aircraft by ground fire. The pilot was arrested the same way he was treated and sent back after giving a cup of tea.
And that's brilliant. And ladies and gentlemen, so far I think a lot of cups of tea have costed quite a lot of cost to India too as well. And not just that, I think that it brings alongside a lot of political damage to all of those ruling political parties over there. So as in the kind of decisions they were making, I think that they've all been very keen to get something for themselves rather than thinking on a larger scale, where they've actually endangered lives of people within the subcontinent. And it's not just Pakistan and India, because unfortunately, because we are both nuclear states as well, if something would have escalated, I know. And I'm very glad that, that the Pakistani government took the first step, because we are the peace bearers and we will continue to do so. But thank you very much, sir. And I'm very sorry that I've asked you all of those questions which were irrelevant, but the sole purpose I asked you these questions was because of the fact so that after a year now, people could actually know what actually happened. And this is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Pakistan Zindabad. We have a patriotic song for you guys, for everybody, and for all our heroes as well. It's a dedication. Go ahead, and when you guys will come back after the song, we have other people to share the other side of the story too as well, and we'll be in conversation with them. Let's see how well we gel in.
Pakistan Zindabad.
मेरा वतन मुझे है अपनी जान से प्यारा, नजर उठा के फिर जो देखा दोबारा दुश्मन मिटा देंगे हम दुश्मन गिरा देंगे हम शाहीनों की है ये फिजा अल्लाह अकबर शाहीन का ईमान हम जाग रहे हैं देखा तूने अपना अंजाम अल्लाह अकबर शाहीन का ईमान हम जाग रहे हैं देखा तूने अपना ऊंची फिजाओं में चर्चा हमारा गाती हवाएं हैं नगमा हमारा सरहदे आसमां की बसेरा हमारा बाजी लगा देंगे हम तुझको दिखा देंगे हम शाहीनों की है ये फिजा अल्लाह अकबर शाहीन का ईमान हम जाग रहे हैं देखा तूने अपना अंजाम अल्लाह अकबर शाहीन का ईमान हम जाग रहे हैं देखा तूने अपना अंजाम मेरा वतन मेरे सीने में धड़के मेरी उड़ान बादलों में गरजे चांद तारा मेरा सदा यूं ही चमके मेरी ये पहचान है सीना ये चट्टान है मेरे संग उड़ रही है दुआ अल्लाह अकबर शाहीन का ईमान हम जाग रहे हैं देखा तूने अपना
All right, ladies and gentlemen, at this point of time, I think that it's very wonderful that we've actually been joined by the spokesperson of Pakistan Air Force over here in the studios. He's with us. So without wasting a single dime and a second, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce Air Commodore Syed Ahmed Raza Saab, Tamga Imtiaz Military. Hello, Assalamu alaikum, sir. Good morning. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. Good morning. I'm fine, and thank you very much for having me on
It's a
your
beautiful day, and it's a great day for the entire
Indeed
nation,
it
for the
is.
entire country, and for Pakistan Air Force. How do you feel?
show. Indeed, it is, honestly, entire Pakistan Air Force, each and every person feels proud today because this is a big day, a historical significance, and you know, we had an encounter with India and getting a kill, rather two kills after 1971 war. So definitely it's a big day, but at the same time I would also say that there is a deep sense of humility as well. God has been kind, and I think all praises be to Allah who was on our side, and definitely without Allah's help nothing can be achieved.
Of course, but sir, you know what, when we're talking about this certain situation in Shahzad, before we were listening to the song, we spoke about how we did let go of the war prisoner on the pilot that we got. And you know, if it were, again, we mentioned if it were for India, they would never do it. Just to remember one of our national heroes as well, Sipahi Maqbool Hussain, if you remember Shahzad, he was violated of so many things when he was in their custody. So we can only imagine what they would have done if it was our pilot. The point of me saying this is, sir, a lot of information, even after that, you know, after the pilot himself told how he was treated in a very good way. The Indian media and the Indian Air Force try to sort of malign the information and manipulate and, you know, make the story of their own. Now, you belonging to Pakistan Air Force itself and having to witness this, having to know the details of it, how do you feel about their unprofessionalism?
Well, I will not go into the rhetoric statement over here, because Indian Air Force is a very well equipped Air Force, and it's a potent threat, and that is why we train so hard, that is why we prepare ourselves, keeping in view the challenges that we have. When it comes to the air battle, shooting down the adversary or getting shot down by yourself, it's part of the game, it can happen. But really what is disappointing and disheartening to see is the way they have, you know, they embarked upon a journey of concocting fake stories and coming up with false claims. We honestly thought that with the passage of time, Indian Air Force would reconcile with the reality somewhat, but they still, continue to, fabricate stories and false narratives.
All right,
That's
and sir, I think I'm going to second my co-host over here, and it's because of the fact that Indians claim that that they have actually seconded the political will of attacking within Pakistan as well. Talking about particularly Balakot, and there was nothing of such sort. Even though that the then DG ISPR invited everybody to come over and take a look for themselves. So connecting my question with what Shiza has actually asked you, I think that we definitely need a rhetoric statement over here now.
No, well, you see, when first of all, we need to understand that this, demonstrating the political will narrative of India, it is not meant for us, it's not meant for the rest of the world.
Yep.
The entire world knows what has happened,
Yeah,
and
of
they
course.
by and large do not buy this idea. This narrative is basically for their own audience, internal audience, and because they want to justify what they have not been able to do.
Right.
And so when you have nothing to show in the operational domain, in the military operation is full of failures. So the only place to take refuge is to take the decision into academic domain,
Right.
craft few fancy terminologies,
Yep.
and impress the audience. So, and a simple common sense, if you demonstrate your political will, and you are unable to, you rather get slapped on your face. So what's the point of demonstrating that will?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
But so one thing, now just a while back you mentioned that of course we are so well prepared and operationally always ready because of the quality of the aircrafts that India has because we have to retaliate. But one thing we cannot forget, one of the things actually, now we have inducted, Pakistan Air Force has inducted a dual seat in the JF-17 Thunder, which is amazing. Now you tell me, how is that going to impact and how is that going to improve the readiness of Pakistan Air Force?
Yeah.
Yes, it has threefold effects. First of all, it is going to make our training more efficient.
All right.
And it's going to reduce the effort that is required in training.
Okay.
And secondly, we will be now, because what we are doing right now is that we are taking experienced air crew from Mirages, F7s, and F16s, and we put them on JF-17 because there is no dual seat version, so we need experienced crew.
Okay.
Now we would be able to put people from after the operational conversion, we can put young flying officers directly into JF-17.
Oh, all
And then we can have a better, air crew composition across the seniority and experience level across the squadron.
That's
so
amazing.
that's the second. And third is the from export point of view.
Yes.
That dual seat, because many countries who are interested in purchasing this aircraft, but they cannot afford a simulator, they cannot afford such extensive training. So it was sort of a demand, a market demand as well. So we hope to see that with dual seat coming in, the JF-17 exports are also going to go up.
Of course.
And that's great and brilliant, but I think that I have a question which is very relevant as of now, as of today as well, and that is that, first of all, obviously the first part of this question is that we have seen that India initially was denying all of it, and then eventually we see that India is actually trying to buy new jets as well, which, for example, Rafales, or there are new missile systems which they need to update. So obviously they do feel threatened from the Pakistani Air Force. Not just that, now recently Mr. Trump was visiting India as well. How do you think that all of this is going to have an impact on the regional stability?
It is definitely the latest acquisitions that they have undertaken, Rafale, S-400, and whatever future plans that they have. It will definitely have impact on balance of military power in conventional domain. And again, a gap will be created. We are concerned and we are monitoring. PF's leadership is very well cognizant of the developments that are taking place. But let me tell you here one more thing, that it's not like that we are just sitting and waiting for India to buy something and then we will do. The upgradation of our existing fleet, modernization of the equipment and military hardware is already, Pakistan Air Force has its own force goal projections.
Okay.
Similarly, we keep on revisiting our training methodologies, tactics, etc. Keeping abreast with the latest developments.
Wow.
But this particular thing is definitely going to create an imbalance, which is critical, and we have to look into it.
Exactly. Well, that's great. And ladies and gentlemen, we definitely have a few more questions lined up for the spokesperson as well over here. But right now, we really need to go out for a short break. Don't go anywhere, because when you guys will come back, we'll have a cup of tea with the Emir Sahib over here today on the show. Let's
Stay
do this.
tuned. Good morning. Welcome back to World This Morning, ladies and gentlemen, on a very fine and a very victorious morning of 27th February with Shahzad Khan and Shiza Hashmi. Today at the studios and actually all around the country, we are celebrating the valor, the courage of our armed forces, our air forces especially, because this day last year, ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking about this for quite a while now, we shot down 2 Indian jets and we took claim of that. We also, captivated one of their pilots and then let go as a goodwill gesture too.
Exactly.
But one thing, Shahzad, before we move on, I want to mention over here, World This Morning is not a political show, but to begin the morning with this feeling of pride and victory is so special for Shahzad and me over here, and everyone present in the studio as well, because we are Pakistanis, and to have that sort of jazba within us, and to, take ownership of whatever we did, we absolutely love it.
Exactly. And ladies and gentlemen, to be very honest, and since Shiza's mentioned it, and we've mentioned it quite a lot of times as well, so there was this one MiG-21, and then there was this other Su-30. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there have been a lot of stories revolving around this as well, and the second pilot. But right now, I think that since we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by the spokesperson for Pakistan Air Force, Air Commodore Syed Ahmed Raza Saab. So moving on with the conversation, and I know that the conversation is very interesting, and since I've always wanted to be a part of Pakistan Air Force, and now being in conversation with the spokesperson, I think this is the happiest day of my life. But very quickly, sir, how would you substantiate your claim of shooting down the Su-30 of Indian Air Force?
As far as Su-30 is concerned, it was shot down by a BVR missile from beyond visual distances.
Okay.
Now, the you can say the problem with the BVR kill is that neither the pilot has a visual contact, he doesn't see the aircraft exploding, nor there is any video that comes in. And since the aircraft fell inside the towards the Indian side of the LOC, in the Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir, so we didn't have the access to the wreckage. But when the missile is going towards the aircraft and it's hitting it, there is a data exchange that takes place between the aircraft and the missile that is taking place, and based on that, an electronic picture is generated. And similarly, on the radar, the ground radar or the AWACS, the air picture is coming. So when we correlate the timing and everything, and the blip disappearing of the Su-30 on the radar with the data, so electronically it is very, very much confirmed and ascertain that it happened.
So it's proven by science.
It is proven by science. And apart from that, when we shot that aircraft down, Indian media initially gave these news that one of their Su-30 has been shot down. It has crashed. They cited it for technical reasons or what, but then that news disappeared from the media. Few days later, another news cropped up that 2 Su-30 pilots, while going from one place to the other, met a road accident and they died.
Road accident in the sky, ladies and gentlemen.
And lastly, they also even came before the media with a piece of a missile and saying that this is the missile that Pakistan, hit us with. So, just childish kind of an approach. So the point is, where did they get the missile from? Because Abhinandan fell inside our territory. So that actually proves our point that our missile actually had hit the Su-30 and it was shot down.
Exactly.
Right, absolutely. And so, you very rightly mentioned how false claims are being taken up by Indian media itself. I don't exactly remember the show, but endless number of shows actually I came across, a lot of videos as well. The anchor persons, Shahzad, the hosts of Indian media, I think this is this is just another level of humiliating yourself in front of millions of people. Now imagine the anchor person showing one of their, defense analysts as well, that, okay, this is the aircraft of Pakistan that we shot down. And the analyst says, actually, this is our piece, this is a piece from our own aircraft. How embarrassing can it be? But, sir, you belonging to the Pakistan Air Force as well, being the spokesperson, how would you regard the Operation Swift Retort and, belonging to the Air Forces itself? What is your message on this very special day to our youth of Pakistan?
It's the first anniversary of the Operation Swift Retort.
Yes. Well, my message to the nation is that Pakistan Air Force is fully committed to defending the aerial frontiers of the Pakistan.
Of course.
And there is no space whatsoever with India to do any misadventure. And whenever, if they attempt to do any misadventure in future, they will be responded with ferocity and punity. We may not exercise restraint if they do it this time.
And
we won't
thank
be
you very
peaceful
much.
always.
Yeah, and thank you very much for protecting the soil. Thank you very much for protecting the sky of this very own motherland, Pakistan. And may you continue to survive with excellence, and may you continue to strive for excellence as well. And ladies and gentlemen, it's not just the Air Force. We love all our forces, may it be Navy, may it be Pakistan Army. But this day is definitely dedicated to Pakistan Air Force and those pilots who've actually done a wonderful job. And it is definitely a teamwork. And not just that, ladies and gentlemen, if it would have been in my own capacity to jump and probably grab the plane and the pilot, I would have done it as a Pakistani too as well. So we're very proud of you. And please make sure that you continue to make us proud and the country proud as well. And we look forward for all of that. We look forward to peace. But then at the same time, वो मेरे घर में वाले साहब कहते हैं कि बेटा के हाथ किसी पे नहीं उठाना, लेकिन अगर कोई तुम्हारे पे हाथ उठाए तो तोड़ के आना. So I think that's the strategy, ladies and gentlemen. Pakistan Zindabad, that's all.
Right, absolutely. So ladies and gentlemen, for everyone watching out there, there are so many ways you can celebrate this day as well. And, you know, celebrate the heroes. Again, a shout out to Wing Commander Numan Ali Khan, Squadron Leader Hassan Siddiqui as well, who are the true national heroes of Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen. They are the reason, along with their mates, we are today celebrating the first anniversary of Operation Swift Retort 2. And we will continue to do so because, of course, we are the peace bearers, Shahzad.
Yes.
But when it comes to our motherland, there's no holding back.
Exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't be mistaken with these smiling faces, because behind that, we have a lot of people who actually protect the land, and we call it Air Force, we call it Pakistan Army, and we call it Pakistan Navy as well. So please make sure that you look out before even making or giving a statement or giving a rise to these tensions, because we are properly equipped. And not just that, we have a lot of du'as and faith in Allah Almighty as well. So towards the end, we're not going to tell you any links or nothing. There's this one slogan I'm going to chant. Let's do it together. Pakistan
Zindabad!
Thank you very much, sir.